All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Our buddy Kyle Madsen has a pretty interesting article out, the 6 most interesting rookies in 49er camp this summer in 2024. We'll hit that next. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in both spots. Get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon. Go say hi to Mary. Tell them that Krug sent you. And this video is brought to you by our good friends at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Give our friend Anthony Catania a call. He's at 831-521-5264. Well, you guys remember Madsen, right? Kyle Madsen used to be a producer at 95.7 The Game. Good guy. And he's writing now for USA Today, Touchdown Wire, covering the Niners. And he's got a pretty interesting article out. The 6 most interesting rookies in 49er training camp in 2024. And we'll count them down 6 through 1, and then we'll give you a couple others that I think are really interesting that he hasn't hit here. Number 6 on his list is Malik Mustapha. And Mustapha worked out the other day and put a shirtless picture of himself on social media, and people were like, "Dude, he's jacked. He's their 4th round pick at a Wake. This guy can really play. I love this guy well before the Niners drafted him. I was hoping this was a weak year for safeties, and there was probably only a handful of guys who were really good safety prospects in this draft, and Malik Mustapha was one of them. And this guy hits like a truck. He's really quick. He's got ability to cover. There's a lot to like. He's an alpha. He's a leader back there. And for the Niners to grab him in the 4th round, I think he's going to wind up taking a starting job. I'll say it right now. Malik Mustapha, I think, starts opposite Jair Brown week 1 against the Jets. And I think Mustafa is going to be a really good player. So Malik Mustapha at a Wake Forest. That's a great one. Number 5 on Madsen's list is Jacob Cowing, the rookie out of Arizona. I think, when you look at Brock Purdy and he loves to attack down the field. And I asked him about Cowing and what has stood out to him. And the answer they gave me was like, it was so totally readily apparent to me that he had spent a lot of time on the field repping pass routes with Jacob Cowing, because he knew him in great detail, and he talked about his ethic, and he talked about how dependable he is. And we're talking about a rookie with 4.3 speed who's got great route running ability. I think this is going to be the guy that really makes the impact. I know people talk about Pearsall, and he went in round 1, but I think it's Cowing. I think Cowing's a route runner. He's a separator. He's done it. He did it at UTEP, and then he went to Arizona and did it at Arizona. I saw him in the bowl game. He was totally dominant. I saw him in the Territorial Cup against Arizona State. He was dominant in that game. And this guy's got ball skills. He can separate down the field. He can leap and go up in a crowd. I think this is an exciting player. I think this is a guy that Brock Purdy is going to make a major, major name for. Number 4 on Madsen's list is Renardo Green. And Renardo Green is, I think, another alpha in the secondary. This guy looked really good against Malik Neighbors earlier this year. And he's a tenacious guy. Now he gets a little grabby. There may be some penalties early on as he figures out what he can and can't do. But man, this kid's aggressive, and he's an alpha, and he's a hitter, and he's physical. And I think he can play free safety. I think he could play a boundary corner. I think he can play, a slot corner. I mean, I think this is a really good football player. This is a great pick, 2nd round pick out of Florida State. Really put on a show and did a nice job against Malik Neighbors earlier this year when they played LSU. And I just think he's going to hit the ground running. This kid expects to play, and tremendous confidence, and you can see it on the field when he's running around. Number 3 on this list, I was happy to see Madsen's got Cody Schrader, the undrafted rookie out of Missouri, is the number 3 rookie, and he went with Schrader over the 4th round rookie running back Isaac Guerendo from Louisville. Schrader went undrafted, and he signed with the Niners after the draft. And I loved Blake Corum throughout the springtime in the draft lead up. And then I was totally aware of Schrader. Now watching Schrader, he reminds me a lot of kind of a poor man's Blake Corum. Both guys are like 5'9", between 215 and 220. Both guys have, great instincts, great foot quickness, great desire, real leader types. I think Cody Schrader is a tremendous running back, and I think this was a great steal. This was a first-team All-SEC running back. And I love the report that one scout had on him and said, hey, this is the kind of guy that once he comes into your building, you can never get him out of your building because he works that hard and he's that dedicated to his craft. So I love Cody Schrader as well, and I love him on this list at number 3. Number 2 on Madsen's list is Dominick Puni. And, I had a chance to talk to Puni after the minicamp, the OTAs, and, man, he's exactly the kind of demeanor you want. Aggressive, tough. This guy, there's a nastiness to this kid's game. This guy loves contact. He loves to bury people. I think Puni is going to give Feliciano and Burford all they want in a competition at guard. And I'd expect Puni is going to be the starting right guard for the 49ers. And number 1 on Madsen's list is not surprisingly Ricky Pearsall. Pearsall's got great route running ability. He's worn the blue jersey all spring. I question the toughness and I question the durability. We'll see. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to sit there and say, I got a reason to believe this kid's tough enough. I don't. He wore the blue jersey all spring. But I will say this. He does glide. This guy's got a gliding gait that is very unique. And when I say gliding, it's like there's not a lot of choppiness to his movements. I mean, he's got great footwork and stop and start ability, but what really makes him kind of, I think, a tough cover is he's got a gliding speed. So he starts to glide and he just moves effortlessly down the field. And I'm eager to see, can he separate and maintain separation throughout the length of the route? And can he take a big hit and not, have alligator arms or, find himself peaking at the next hit? How does he respond to the physicality of the NFL? And when he uncovers, can he stay separated or do they eat that cushion? So those are the rookies that really stand out. Now, to me, there's 2 more on this list that I think have to be mentioned. One is Mason Pline. Pline is a tight end from Furman who played basketball at Ferris State and transferred to Furman. And he's a mechanical engineering major with 10.5-inch hands. He's really smart. He looked great in the minicamp. Big target, as I said, 6'8", and he's a vertical threat in basketball. He's an above-the-rim player. So you see him, he's got plenty of athleticism, and he's really, really smart. He's got huge hands. So Mason Pline's a great prospect just on those 3 traits alone. And then the other guy that you got to keep your eye on is number 66, Evan Anderson. If you go out to camp this summer, keep your eyes on Evan Anderson. He played at Florida Atlantic. He was 360 pounds. He's now down to 315 pounds. But he's enormously strong at the point of attack. And he splits double teams like it's nothing. He's got quick feet. He's got a lot of the same traits that made DJ Jones a very, very valuable 49er. So don't forget the 6 that Madsen said, but keep one eye on Evan Anderson and another eye on Mason Pline because those guys are really interesting. And if I had to throw one more name out there that he doesn't have on the list, it would be Drake Nugent, the former Stanford center who played at Michigan this last year, first team All Big Ten. I've watched Nugent in practices, and, man, every time he puts his hands on a defensive lineman, he just jars them. I mean, he just absolutely jars them. He's a little on the short side at 6'1" and change, but, man, he's very broad, very strong, and his two-hand shiver is, just absolutely stonewalls some of these defensive tackles who are strong, really strong guys in their own right. To see Nugent kind of shock these guys with his two-hand shiver opened my eyes throughout the spring. So I'm looking for more of that this summer. So keep your eye on Drake Nugent as well. Very polished center who may give Jake Brendel a run for his roster spot this summer. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to our good friends at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.